diys-by-dar, this or that. I found a pair of vintage, really wore out oars, and I wanted to change them over. This was what I started with. I had to take and scrub them down really good, and then the next move was some wood filler. They were really damaged because I wanted to put some decoupage paper on these. So I had this pretty watered down, and it was basically like a skim coat that I could go ahead and put on with my finger. So we're talking both sides and a lot of skim coat. Time to sand, so I used my surf prep with a thin pad on it, and we did go from a 180, 120, 220, and then primed it with some Boss because I didn't know if the paper would really set well on all of that wood sealer. Here's my paper. Really beautiful paper. I love it. It is from Made by Marley Magic. I will have the links in my description for her site and where you can get this paper. I'm just pushing it down along the edge to see where my crease is at because I am going to cut this paper. And if you can't see your crease from the front side, just flip that paper over and you will be able to see it really well from the back side. Then once I get it cut, I will go ahead and just set it on there again, and hopefully I have enough to cover all my edges because the edges are going to be sanded off. The only edge I have to cut is the one there at the top because I have to butt two pieces of paper together and I have to get them as close as I can. Mod Podge. Mod Podge? Modge Podge? All right. A pretty good layer. Make sure you get every area covered. And one of the things I like to do at the very end is take my soft brush and lightly just skim over the top very lightly to remove any of the brush strokes that I have. So just take it and lightly skim over the top and make that your final pass and make it very smooth. I'm ready to put this paper on. This is always the nerve-wracking part. I have to make sure I have enough on both ends because I won't have enough paper if I screw this up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just setting this down. And I am going to take a soft cloth and just smooth it down. No wrinkles. And I'm going to pay special attention to the outside edges because that is where I'm going to trim that paper. And I want to make sure that those edges are down nice. Here is my add-in piece, and I have to cut that other end off so I can butt them up. And I am going to follow the same procedure. Put my moderate amount of Modge Podge glue on, and my last pass, just nice, barely touching light, and get all of the brush strokes out so it's nice and smooth. And I'm ready to put it on, trying to butt it up as close as I can right next to each other, and then slowly lay that down. Smoothing it lightly, light hand as I go. Another really nice piece. I'm going to take my cloth. I'm going to wipe it down, paying attention to those edges. And when I wiped it down, it slid, so I ended up having a little gap there, which we are going to fix shortly. I had a little excess at the top, so I went ahead and cut that off with my scissors. Once all this paper is on Then I will let it dry and remove the excess with my little sandpaper device. And I'm doing both sides of these. So it took me a couple days to get them ready for me to fix. Now here is my little sandpaper device. I did get it from Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. And no, I'm not affiliated. And I have a 220 grit sandpaper on there. And you want to go at a 45-degree angle. I'm almost going straight there. And just always push away from your paper. That's going to cut it, and it's going to give you that really nice edge that you're looking for. And it should just either fall off, or when you grab it, it will lightly just fall away and you can just take it off. There they are. They're ready to go. It's time for some repairs with some paint. So there was my gap, and I didn't get it close enough, so now I have to paint this. So I'm going to put it at fast speed so I don't bore you. And you have to recreate things when you're matching up paper. You can't just have like a leaf starting in limbo. So you just have to use your imagination and think, where would this leaf go, and where can I make it as short as I can and still make it look natural? So I did have to paint a couple leaves in, and it's right on that gap. So I'm also filling that gap at the same time. This was how much paint mixing I was doing on my little tray there. I'm just doing some final touch-ups on that spot. So now, can you tell me where my line was? I wanted to put some rope around this oar, these oars, mainly to make that break where the top of that decoupage paper was going to stop. So I used some E6000 mainly at the beginning and at the end to make sure it holds and does not come off, as well as my hot glue gun to hold that in place while it finishes gluing. So I'm starting on the back side, and I'm just going to work my way around. I'm on the back side again, and I'm ready to cut this. And sometimes when you cut it, you get a really bad frayed end. And what I like to do is just put some hot glue on it and twist it. Then that will hold it together. This one wasn't too bad, so I just used the hot glue and pushed it down into place. And remember, I do have some E6000 underneath all of this. I wanted to paint that outside edge all the way around. So I used a color that was pretty close to what was in the Moths. And yeah, it took a bit because I had to cut in, but also that frayed end, the paint was sucking right up into that paper, giving it that final seal, and I just worked my way around. I wanted to put some stripes on it, so I taped it, and I'm using the same color paint, although it sure doesn't look like it. It looks like it's really a lot lighter. And I put some banding around the bottom portion. You'll see in the end, I did put a couple transfers on here as well. I put a couple dragonflies at the bottom, some real light colored foliage at the top handle. And then I added a stencil just going up the top for a little more interest. It was a little boring. And inside there, I put a little dot of gold. Now, before I put my final brush top coat on, I'm going to spray it. I'm spraying what I painted. I am not going to risk having my acrylic paints or my paints run on the handle and where I did my repairs. So I'll give it a light spritz and then it's good to go. You're not going to smear your paint. Remember these babies? Here they are now. Really cool. Anybody would love to put these on their wall. Thanks for watching, guys, on this quick little fun project, which turned out really well with the decoupage paper. Like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.